Hello everyone, welcome in or welcome back. It's lovely to see you again. So I am kind of getting over a bit of a cold, so if I have sniffles and if I sound kind of congested, I'm very sorry, but the reason that I'm doing the video anyway is because I was very eager to see what was in these boxes, and I always swear to myself I'm not going to open them off camera unless they're confirmed boxes. So I hopped on here, got ready anyway, and today I have a very exciting series to share with you guys. This is LuckyDoll's newest blind box series. They are the Chinese traditional festival series, and the gimmick is the princess who protects festivals. We have a whole array of festivals that it covers here. Now, I'm very sentimental to these things because I am Vietnamese, and so I was very excited when the design premise kind of covers something that I'm very familiar with. I'm excited to see how they translate these auspicious occasions into characters. I also am quite a fan of LuckyDoll's other lines, so if you're unfamiliar with some of the other dolls that they've done in the past, they have the Mermaid Choo Choo line under their belt, who are my favorite mermaid dolls. I did not cover these ones on video, but they are among my favorites because I think the faces are so lovely. I love the body blushing, and these ones left a very good impression on me as to what other stuff they have to offer. On top of the Mermaid Choo Choo series, they also do have a food shop series, which has 2 seasons, or I would say probably more like 1.5, and I don't have any from that line, but those ones also do carry a very unique and distinct art style to them, which is kind of the part that I really like about the dolls that they've put out. So with that said, on the front of the box here, it is red and very auspicious feeling from the lanterns and the featured design that we have on the front. This one happens to be the one representing the Lunar New Year, or the Chinese New Year's Eve, but if we flip the box to the side, then we can get a look at some of our other characters. This one here is supposed to be the Double Seventh Festival. This one here is the Winter Solstice. This is the hidden one, who is a Jiangxi. I'll show that one on the screen. That one has a really stellar and really interesting design, and I think it stands out so much from all the other ones. As I mentioned earlier, this one is the Chinese New Year's. This one is Birthday of Flowers. This one here is the Dragon Boat Festival, and this one is the Mid-Autumn Festival. While I understand that this is meant to be the Chinese traditional festival series, some of these festivals are still celebrated in other parts of Asia, including Southeast Asia, which is where my family is from. For that reason, I think that it would have been nice to have some other varieties of skin tones, deeper, tanner skin tones than the ones presented on the box. But of course, I understand that Asian beauty standards and such really value the paleness and pale skin. Hi, it's Editing Mel here, and I'm not sick anymore, for the most part, so that's good. But on the point that I was talking about just now, I wanted to add a little bit more to it. I feel like I didn't do a fantastic job at mentioning everything that I meant to. While I do mention the fact that Sea Asians celebrate a lot of similar traditions across Southeast Asia, and therefore I think it would have been nice to include more diversity in how these different festivals were represented, even though the category of traditional Chinese being the main overarching theme, I also feel like it's important to include diverse skin tones because in Chinese populations, you still have a variety of people and a variety of how people look. It would have been a nice way to add more inclusion and help people feel represented as darker Asians, as darker people. So that was kind of my point here. It would have been nice to see a bigger variety of people who celebrate these, whether that be Sea Asians or other Chinese people or whatever. Okay, that's all. Okay, bye. In any case, I ordered my set of 3 from Kika Goods, and you are more than welcome to use my code GlassesRGift10 at Kika Goods for 10% off your order if you so choose. Alongside my order were included some little pin badges of some of the different characters. So we have the Winter Solstice one, the Double Seventh Festival, and the Jiangxi Ghost Festival. The pins themselves have a holographic foil to them and standard safety pin backing. These are really cute. Let's get the boxes themselves open. As you've probably been able to see, the boxes have a very lovely rainbow foiling, so it's a shame that I'm absolutely annihilating it at the top. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we got the Birthday of Flowers one. It's an inappropriate time to say that this is actually my least favorite. Here's her character card. Now, I do think that her design is lovely, and I do think that this is probably going to be a lot of people's favorites. The pink, the blue, the butterflies. But to be honest, I was much more preferential to the dark hair girlies. Taking them out of the packaging here. So their heads are done a little bit differently than the ones we've seen before, likely due to their scale. These are supposed to stand at 1/6, though they are pretty big, and their body types lend themselves to being bigger than what our golden standard 1/6 scale is as of their Leica dolls. So they actually do come with their head cap, which is really awesome because I was thinking that these dolls would look really really pretty with an actual wig as opposed to their sculpted wig. The inside of their head is not too different from everything that we've seen so far. Their head cap is kept in place with magnets, and their eyes are more like an eye plate. It has a piece at the top. Compared to other Essex, by the way, I've noticed with the Lucky Dolls, they do tend to prefer setting it off to the side horizontally that way, rather than just twisting it in place. Her face makeup itself is pretty simple. Her eyebrows themselves are a light brown, and that color is used to draw some of the different face detailings, like the eye creases and the mouth. Her eyelashes are black with a highlight of bright pink in the center and little white to detail the eyelashes themselves. She has a little bit of coral pink cheek blushing, and the eyes are really interesting. It's almost like they have lanterns in them. So their eyes are a variety of different colors, with bright pink being the main color, dark blue for the little lantern piece, and a variety of greens and blues on the underneath to kind of detail the highlights. Their eyes are really detailed. I didn't really notice that when I was looking at the product photos. So as I mentioned before, Lucky Doll tends to do body blushing, and I feel like that adds a lot of warmth and a lot of life to the dolls themselves. So they kind of have them in the joint area, elbows, knees, tips of their toes, tips of their fingers, a little bit on their chest and their belly button. Following that, our points of articulation include our hand, elbows, the shoulders, torso, legs, thigh swivel, knees. Well, their knees are really easy to pose. That's really nice. And their feet. So as far as their extra bits go for their clothes and their hairpiece actually looks to be very detailed. Front and the back connect, and the seam is quite well hidden due to the fact that the front piece is much smaller and only is composed of the front bangs. The sculpting on the hair is absolutely beautiful. So her hair is white with a pink fade at the bottoms. Seems like she has all kinds of detailed braiding on the top, little pearls, flowers, one that is pink in the center but mostly white, a blue and a pink one on this side. The back butterfly plate is absolutely stunning, actually. They have all these molded on details, but the cast itself is pink, clear, and blue, which adds a lot of depth to the design. Her shoes are just a simple short high heel, and they're just fully one color, just pink. Moving on to the clothing pieces, starting off with a simple pair of white bloomers. Here are some white socks, the blue trim at the top. This part is kind of their little floaty shawl bit, and there is a wire inside so that you can take control of the posing. Here is the skirt piece. So it is 3 layers of frills, and kind of interesting is that underneath each frill layer is actually kind of a netting instead of being a full piece of fabric. I'm curious if that's so that they can achieve this specific style of skirt gathering and layer them on top of each other. You have a couple different types of fabric here as well. The little side panel is just slightly shimmery. It has blue all along the edges and pink and blue making up the little Sakura emblem on the front there. It's connected to what is a little bit of a thicker piece of fabric that is decorated with this pattern on top. I really like it. It almost reminds me of patterns that you might see on an aoyai. Here's our top piece. It looks like this pop collar here is connected to it on the back. It is this lovely soft pink color. It carries the same pattern as the skirt panel, but it is a little bit more clear with the decorations on the top. The front collar has that same translucent shimmery fabric, similar to the way that they did the decals on the skirt panel. You have little butterflies, flowers here, tassels decorate the bottom of it, held together with a golden band and a golden bead. So she has these clasps here, are golden and carry quite a bit of detail in themselves as well. From the collar all along to the middle of the outfit, has this blue silky lining to it, and the sleeves kind of carry the same techniques that the skirt paneling and the collar have. So I believe that covers everything that our doll comes with, so let me get her dressed up now. And I have to say, she's quite a stunning doll, actually, all dressed up. I think thematically and just in terms of the color choices, this doll wouldn't have been my favorite doll out of the set, but there's a lot of care and details that have been put into the design that I think makes them really stellar. Now that the T-Series is no longer in production, I feel like this isn't such a bad 1/6 scale BJD to start with if you aren't able to get a hand on one of those ones. The choice of colors here, very vibrant blues, the really soft but very pretty and silky pinks. I think they really bring out those feelings of spring, or rather that transition from winter into spring, quite well. I have to say, one thing that I'm not sure if I like very much, and I believe this is going to be a criticism I have across all of the dolls, is that their skirts run very, very short. So while the bloomers do kind of help, I think a longer skirt would have been quite cute as well. I'm always intrigued by how these BJD companies do modernized takes on traditional outfit. And I think this one is really cute. I really enjoy the different textures on the fabric, how there are different patterns that hit the light differently, and the use of the translucent window and such to add interesting elements. Now, due to their thicker body shape, I am curious if they can fit the recent TV series clothing. So I do have a packet of one of them here to try it on her. So let me go ahead and try putting her in the Travel Channel's outfit from the TV series. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. She just bent my crochet hook. One thing I'm also noticing as I dress her up is that the channel for the arm is quite big, so it's a little easy for the hook to fall back through. That said, because it's also very big, it's also very easy to fish it back up. There she is with the Travel Channel's dress on, and it does fit her more or less okay. I think there is some differences in their body types even so. I think her hips may be slightly wider, as I couldn't fully get the Velcro to match up 100%, and her arms may be more slender than theirs. It feels a little bit baggy on the top side, even with the idea of frillier sleeves. It does actually fit her decently well. It does look quite cute, though I think the Travel Channel has a warmer base for the pink, whereas her own pinks are a little bit more cooler toned. They run into that sort of fuchsia area. But that said, she does still look cute. And all in all, she is a fairly easy doll to dress up. I'm not having too much difficulty with it, but again, if you're not so used to handling dolls, then I can imagine the arm channels might provide a little bit of trouble. I do wish that the skirt had a little bit more wiggle room so that if I did want to place it lower, then I could, but it fits pretty snug over a specific part of their waist here. Before we move on to the next doll, I would love to know what you guys think of her. I feel like she's really beautiful, even though she wasn't my favorite of the set. And just how beautiful the base doll itself is, I think opens a lot of room for how you might customize them. Unlike the other dolls that we've opened, they actually do come with their head cap and use that to keep the sculpted hair in place. But that also means that you would be able to find wigs for them, and I think that would already add a lot of charm. They might be lovely dolls for customization outside of the box if you don't want to do things like face-ups and whatnot on your own. I don't have a whole ton of dolls of this particular size, with the being 1/6 but still having like the chunkier body type, which I think might fall under the YOSD sizing. So unfortunately, I don't have too much experience with what other clothing alternatives you may have. Let's move on to our next doll. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I think this is the Double 7 Festival. Oh, thank goodness. This was the one that I really wanted. I'm so excited. This one I thought was so pretty from the pictures. Oh my gosh, look at her hair. It's so cute. Here is her character card in all of her beautiful, delicate, dainty glory. Oh, speaking of, okay, before I move on to actually covering her, they do actually have a little bit of background to them. So let me go ahead and read that out for our first doll. So for the birthday of Flowers, here's what is written on Kikagood's site for her character profile. Her date of birth is the 2nd day of the 2nd lunar month. Her favorite color is pink, and her background is that she is a sweet and innocent girl. She's a little timid and unexpectedly calm and reliable when facing it against significant challenges. Oh, I'm so happy that we got this one. So her eyes are ever so slightly more purple toned than our more pink counterpart, and it looks like her highlight in her eyelashes are just ever so slightly more purple as well, but they do look pretty close to each other. She's so stunning. She's so stunning. So here's the back hair piece. Her hair is mostly this deeper black gray color that is also tinged slightly with purple, and there's a little bit of a pink and purple gradient that it falls into at the ends of the hair. I love when they add these secondary colors to the hair. I feel like it adds a lot more depth than just having it as one solid color, which I feel like black hair in these sculpted sets tend to just be plain black, and I feel like that kind of loses out on the amount of depth. So I'm happy that this one has the tinge of purples and pinks in it. She has this lovely braid in the back that is tied off into a bow. She has all of these heart clips that decorate her braid as well. Lilac one, though it comes off as a little bit more white on camera. A bright pink one, and a white one. And this white one has these little tassels off of it too. And she also has a couple hearts just on the inner sides of her hair too. So to help hold the hair in place, by the way, it does have this little molded out shape in the back, and that matches up with the gap in the back of the head. The front of the hair has a little stray strand up the top, which is very cute. She has these bangs, but this longer partition of hair at the top that leads into her sides. And the side bangs have a little bit of that brighter pink at the end as well. So it seems like the construction of her outfit itself is quite similar to the previous one that we opened. Her socks have purple instead of the blue. Bloomers, so here is her little floaty shawl, but this one has had the wire stick out a little bit, so we'll push that back in. The pinks in her clothing lean more towards that magenta color rather than being that lighter sort of cherry blossom pink. The details on the collars, the different pieces also change. This one has more like clouds and more hearts and flowers. The tassels on each side are purple, the beads are pink, and the end tassels are sort of a shiny purple thread. This one is just lightly discolored there though. The underpiece for itself has a similar pattern that adorns the shiny magenta part, and looks like they use the same golden clasps. I like that they have the golden clasp, even though a large part of the outfit is covered by the collar. And that center trim and collar trim is more of a purple tone in this one. The skirt is quite similar, but on the panel window we have a bird. Besides that, the color palette of the outfit is tailored to her design, so we have those purples, those magentas, the light touches of blue. I do really love the stylization that Lucky Doll chooses for their dolls, but I do wish that they had some variety in the faces, just to add a little bit more character to the individual dolls themselves. As much as I love the choo-choos, they do all have the same face, so that made it very easy when I was making my little customs. Oh my gosh, there she is with her hair. She's so freaking cute. I'm so happy that we pulled her. Okay, so I wanted to do a little bit of Googling because while in my culture, at least my family, we celebrate the Lunar New Year and we also celebrate the Mid-Autumn Festival. But the other two that we've pulled here are not ones that we usually celebrate. So I figured I'd do a little bit of Googling and let's learn a little bit about them together. So we will start with our first one here. So it says that the Birthday of Flowers Festival has been celebrated for over 2,000 years. The festival is held in the second month of the lunar calendar to commemorate the birthday of the flower goddess. According to ancient beliefs, the flower goddess controls human reproduction and it becomes customary to celebrate her birthday to invite prosperity. It features colorful installations based on flowers and flower fairies, and there are light shows, performances, markets, parades, and interactive events. For our second doll here, so the Double Seventh Festival is also known as Chinese Valentine's Day. It's been a traditional Chinese romantic festival. It is named after the 7th day of the 7th lunar month in the traditional Chinese calendar. It's a celebration of romantic love, and it celebrates the Chinese mythology of two lovers who were the Weaver Girl and the Cowherd, respectively. Girls take part in worshipping the celestials during ritual. They go to local temples to pray for wisdom. Paper items are usually burned as offerings. During the festival, girls make display of their domestic skills. Traditionally, there would be contests among those who attempted to be the best in threading needles under low light conditions, and today sometimes girls gather toiletries in honor of the seven maidens. The festival also held importance for newlywed couples. It says that on this day, the Chinese gaze up at the sky to look for Vega and Altair shining in the Milky Way, while Deneb, the third star, forms a symbolic bridge between the two stars. That's so lovely. With the context of a celestial-themed festival, I think that the decision to go with, one, the darker hair, the purple tones, the magenta, I think that's a really beautiful way of symbolizing that, especially if it's known as the so-called Chinese Valentine's Day. And I think that also contextualizes why she has things like the hearts in her hair. That's so freaking cute. It's clear a lot of love and thought was put into designing the base dolls themselves. And I think this one is just absolutely beautiful and absolutely stunning, and I'm so happy that we pulled her. So as far as her own character sheet goes, her birthday is the 7th day of the 7th lunar month, and her favorite color is purple. It says that despite her youthful appearance, she's a steady lady. With her wisdom, she's capable of taking care of others, occasionally speaking in a manner that reminds everyone of their own mother. I think that almost kind of parallels the fact that she's symbolic for newlywed couples, almost like receiving a mother's blessing. So with our second doll out of the way, let me set her off to the side and we'll open up our last one. At this point, I'm kind of happy with whoever we get, but I would love to get more of the darker haired dolls. I feel like the contrast is just really beautiful, but the winter solstice one is nice too. 1, 2, 3. Oh, I think we got the red one. I think we got the Lunar New Year. Oh, how exciting. This was the other one that I really wanted, since this is one that my family actually celebrates. Oh my gosh, how cute. So her eyes are much more clearly red toned than our other two dolls. The darker spots and darker lantern in her eye is more of a purple color, and the highlights are orange. The highlight in her eyelashes is also more red toned than our other ones, more noticeably so. For her hair pieces themselves, she actually does not have a gradient, but she does have these ribbons going through them that I think still adds quite a bit of detail to them. As opposed to the other ones also, the front hair plate is also larger than the back one. So for her back hair piece, she has her hair tied off into these two bow style buns with this red ribbon going through it. On the front hair piece, she has braids that are on both sides of her heads, and they're fastened with these red ribbons as well. She also has these two sort of rice cake rabbits on the top of her head. So freaking cute. Her shoes are just a vibrant red, matching the auspicious and lucky color. Of course, her outfit is composed of this very luscious and rich color of red. She has a green bead that attaches the tassel to the little front banner here, which almost kind of reminds me of jade. I think that's a really cute color contrast there. The front banner of her collar and alongside her sleeves kind of carry the same swishy cloud patterns, but they also have these little guys, and I don't know the name of them, but I know what they are. They usually show up made of gold, but I don't really know what the name of them is. Oh, interesting. So apparently that little shape there, which I'll put one up on screen, is called a yuanbao, and it's a type of gold and silver ingot currency used in Imperial China. Interesting. I've always seen that shape, but I wasn't ever really sure what they were. To me, they always kind of looked like little egg boats. That is what that little yellow symbol is there. Underneath the collar, the lining of the coat is just a bit of a brighter red, and that kind of follows suit for the trim of the sleeves as well. Her skirt is composed pretty much with the same pieces as the other ones, but instead of the color palettes that match to them, she instead gets the red and little bits of yellow, and the front panel itself has some koi fish on it. Her socks have a dark red and a mahogany frill at the end there, and her little floaty shawl bit is sort of this golden color, and of course she comes with a little pair of bloomers as well. Let's get her dressed up then. Oh no, mine actually came with two of the wrong hands. Oh, that's so unfortunate. She actually has two left hands instead of having a right and a left. Oh, how unfortunate. Looks like I'll have to email them about that one. That's so sad. Okay, picture has been taken for customer service proof. We'll still get her dressed up though. That's okay, things like that happen. Oh yeah, as far as the feeling of the body plastic goes, it's not like the softest, most velvety doll ever, but it does its job and it doesn't feel particularly cheap or anything like that. Noticing the stringing on this one is also a little bit tighter than all of the other ones. Goodness, for the doll that symbolizes a lucky year and good fortune in the new year, it is unfortunate that we got the wrong hands. That's cool. They are also embossed with the left and right to show which part is for which piece. That's nice. So there's our last one all dressed up. I have to say, out of all of them, she was definitely the one that gave me the most trouble. The stringing in her arms was by far the most tight, and so the hook constantly kept trying to go back through the arm channels. Now that said, now that she's all dressed up, she does look very beautiful, despite her double hands. Out of all the dolls, she is by far the most monochromatic, with the gold mostly being even more of an accent on this one than the other ones, I feel. Most of the panelings are red, so I think she feels the most monochromatic. All of the different tones of red, the different saturations of it kind of add to the depth and richness of it, and I really appreciate that part in her design. Having opened all three, I think I would have liked seeing more variety in their outfits as well, just because a lot of them follow the same construction and mostly change out the coloring of the fabric and details on the paneling. Now that said, I do think all of them do look very cute in their respective outfits, and I do like that this one feels very auspicious and very, very fitting to represent the Lunar New Year. She is the featured character of the series, so let's see what her description has to say. Her date of birth is the last day of the Lunar New Year, and her favorite color is red. She especially enjoys sharing her happy life with everyone, although she can be overly helpful at times. Every New Year's Eve, she arranges for everyone to wear new clothes and sets off firecrackers, welcomes auspicious animals, and sends blessings. As her description itself describes, things like the firecrackers, the fireworks, red clothing, and decorations is all pretty typical of your New Year's celebrations, as well as the lion dances. I think those are also, in my head at least, fairly associated with the Lunar New Year. I think if their clothing was more varied, I would have loved to see some fur trim on hers to kind of represent those aspects of the lion dances and the lion costumes. So let me get our three dolls all together here. So here are the 3 that we got, and I feel like they do feel very cohesive as a set due to the fact that they have the same style of outfit. But again, I would have loved to see more variety in how the outfits were executed so as to bring more of those different aspects of each festival into mind. Even though they are all kind of a take on traditional clothing, I still would have liked to see those things just to add a little bit more character to all of them. That said, I was a very big fan of how each of the hair sculpts are very detailed and feel very unique to all of them. Things like the butterfly and small stuff like the little hearts and little rice cake rabbits I think are so freaking cute. That said, do they feel a little samey? I'm almost inclined to say maybe a little bit. Because of their same faces, the same outfits, I think they feel a little almost too similar for my preferences. I do think each of the base dolls individually are absolutely stunning, and so that's not necessarily something that is a deal breaker and wouldn't deter me from wanting more of them. But I think that tends to be my complaint a little bit with the Lucky Dolls, is that sometimes they can feel a little bit too similar in some ways. On the Choo Choo scale, they actually did do a pretty good job with making each mermaid diverse thanks to the different tails, the different textures in hair, and things like that. But for them, they didn't really come with any clothing that made them stand out in one way or the other. They all come with sort of a simple bow top, and these ones I've borrowed from the penny box mermaids. Now that said, on a larger scale, I would have loved to see even more variety in them. In these ones, it's not just the base doll that is the highlight of it, because you don't have things like their tail to add even more character to them. You're relying on their hair and their face. And that said, their faces are all the same as each other, except for the fact that they all have different highlights depending on their color palette. The little issues like the wire sticking out, the mismatched hands, those don't bother me too much. Well, the mismatched hands I'll have to contact customer service for, but the smaller defects aren't too big of an issue to me, though I can see how that would probably bother some people. I think a dab of fabric glue might be able to stop the wire from poking out. I would love to see if there are clothing pieces that will fit their body type that maybe suit them a little bit better than what we have here. I do like it, although I feel like I basically have 3 variations of the exact same outfit, and that part I'm not too fond of. However, they do open a lot of room for customization. Like I said earlier, these dolls do come with their head caps, which makes it available to buy wigs for them. I'm not sure the exact dimensions here. I don't have a fabric measuring tape with me to be able to measure, but I think that these dolls would be absolutely stellar for personalizing them a little bit more. As a whole, I do love them a lot though, and I'm excited to see what else I can do with them. I think I probably will start looking for different outfits for them, particularly for her, because I think she's so beautiful, and I would love to see her in something longer and more elegant, especially to highlight those details in her profile that mentioned being more motherly. So I think a longer skirt would definitely add to the more elegant feeling of her design. Now, all that said, I do really like them all, and I do think they're all very beautiful, and especially for a blind box doll, I think that these are absolutely stellar for the attention to detail and everything that you get from them. So do I recommend them? Probably. I would also recommend, though, it is probably a good idea to have things on hand like your crochet hooks or paper clips and twist ties and that stuff, just because the hooks do have a tendency of falling back into the arm due to how big the arm channels are. I do hope that you guys had a good time watching the video. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'll see you guys next time, whether that be in a stream or a video. Take care. Bye-bye.